I am war, embodied, personified. Welcome to my show. To all my guests, thank you for being here. We are going way back to the start, to the dawn of man. If you listen quietly and closely, you will hear the drums of war beating like a fiery heart before history was written, blood was spilled. Early humans, driven by instinct, fought for survival. They craved territory, they needed food, and they desired mates. These primal urges fueled conflicts, raw and brutal. These were not the organized battles of later eras, they were skirmishes of survival. Crude weapons were wielded with desperate fury. Clubs, sharpened sticks and stones became tools of death. Victory meant life, defeat meant oblivion. There was no glory in these early clashes, only a grim struggle for existence. Yet these primitive conflicts held the seeds of something more. As humans gathered in larger groups, tribal bonds strengthened. Warfare, once a matter of individual survival, began to take on new meaning. It became a tool for dominance, a way to assert the strength of one group over another. The echoes of these primal conflicts still resonate within us. They are a reminder of our capacity for violence. But they also speak to our instinct for survival and our drive to protect what is ours. The savage dawn may be lost to prehistory, but its legacy lives on in the annals of human conflict. From the mists of prehistory, the first great civilizations emerged. In the fertile valleys of the Nile, Tigris, and Euphrates, empires rose and fell on the backs of armies. Warfare was no longer a simple struggle for survival. It was a tool of ambition, a means to expand borders and amass power. The Egyptians, masters of organization, fielded vast armies equipped with bronze weapons and chariots. Their pharaohs, considered living gods, led their armies into battle, seeking glory and conquest. Across the sands, the Assyrian Empire rose to prominence, feared for its iron weapons and brutal efficiency. Their kings boasted of their cruelty, their annals filled with tales of cities sacked and enemies impaled. In these ancient empires, war became a spectacle of power. Kings and emperors used it to project their might, to cow their enemies and inspire awe in their subjects. Monuments were erected to commemorate victories, their walls adorned with scenes of carnage and triumph. But beneath the veneer of glory, war remained a brutal affair. Armies marched across vast distances, leaving behind a trail of destruction. Cities were besieged and sacked, their populations put to the sword or enslaved. The ancient world was a crucible of conflict, where empires rose and fell in a never-ending cycle of conquest and destruction. No empire in the ancient world mastered the art of war quite like Rome. From humble beginnings as a city-state, Rome's legions marched across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, forging an empire that would span centuries. The Roman war machine was a marvel of organization and discipline. Roman soldiers, trained from youth, were masters of drill and discipline. Their legions, armed with the gladius, short sword and pilum, throwing spear, were capable of complex maneuvers and formations. They fought with ruthless efficiency, their victories cementing Rome's reputation as an unstoppable force. But Rome's rise was not unchallenged. From the Carthaginian general Hannibal, whose elephants terrorized the Italian peninsula, to the fierce tribes of Germania, Rome faced a constant stream of enemies. The barbarian hordes, often dismissed as undisciplined savages, posed a unique threat to the Roman war machine. Their ferocity and unpredictability tested the limits of Roman discipline and strategy. The clash between Rome and its enemies shaped the ancient world. Roman military innovations, from siege warfare to naval power, influenced warfare for centuries to come. And the barbarian tribes, though often defeated, played a crucial role in the eventual fall of the Western Roman Empire, ushering in a new era of conflict in Europe. The fall of Rome did not bring an end to war. Tonight I give you knights and kings instead. It ushered in a new era of conflict, one dominated by knights' castles and the clash of steel on steel. In the fragmented kingdoms of Europe, warfare became a constant presence, a grim reality of life. The knight, a mounted warrior clad in mail or plate armor, emerged as the symbol of military prowess. Trained from boyhood in the arts of war, knights were expected to be both skilled warriors and paragons of chivalry. They fought for their lords, their honor, and their god, their exploits immortalized in song and story. Castles, imposing fortresses of stone, dotted the landscape, serving as both strongholds and symbols of power. Sieges could last for months, even years, as armies employed increasingly sophisticated tactics and weaponry to break through enemy defenses. Warfare in the medieval period was a brutal affair. Disease was as deadly as any blade, and the lives of common soldiers and peasants were often treated with callous disregard. Yet amidst the carnage, a certain code of conduct emerged. Chivalry, though often idealized, imposed rules of engagement, offering a glimmer of humanity amidst the brutality. Section 5, Gunpowder's Roar, Shattering the Old Order. The invention of gunpowder, a discovery that originated in the East, forever changed the face of war. This revolutionary substance, capable of launching projectiles with incredible force, shattered the dominance of the knight and rendered castles vulnerable to a new breed of artillery. Cannons, cumbersome at first, grew increasingly powerful and accurate. Their thunderous roar signaled the dawn of a new era, one in which fortifications could be reduced to rubble and armies decimated from afar. The knight, once the master of the battlefield, became increasingly vulnerable to the deadly rain of lead and iron. The introduction of firearms, from muskets to pistols, further transformed warfare. Armies, once reliant on close-quarters combat, could now engage the enemy from a distance. Battles became less about individual prowess and more about firepower and maneuver. The world watched in awe and terror as gunpowder reshaped the global order. Empires built on the strength of traditional armies crumbled before the might of cannons and firearms. Warfare would never be the same. Now that's going out with a bang. Section 6, Revolution and Empire, the tumult of a new age. The 18th and 19th centuries were a time of immense upheaval and transformation. Revolutions swept across Europe and the Americas, toppling monarchies and giving birth to new nations. And from the ashes of the French Revolution rose Napoleon Bonaparte, a military genius who would leave his mark on the world through conquest and bloodshed. The American Revolution, a struggle for independence fought across a vast continent, demonstrated the power of ideology and guerrilla warfare. The ragtag Continental Army, outmatched and outgunned, used cunning tactics and sheer determination to defeat the mighty British Empire. Napoleon's rise to power unleashed a torrent of warfare upon Europe. His armies, renowned for their discipline and maneuverability, marched from victory to victory, redrawing the map of the continent. From the pyramids of Egypt to the frozen fields of Russia, Napoleon's name became synonymous with both military brilliance and relentless ambition. The Napoleonic Wars left a lasting legacy on warfare. Innovations in tactics, logistics, and organization transformed armies from unwieldy mobs into sophisticated instruments of war. And the ideals of the French Revolution, liberty, equality, and fraternity, continued to inspire revolutionaries and reformers around the world. Section 7, A World at War. Not once but twice the 20th century dawned with a sense of both progress and unease. Twice within a generation, the world plunged into a global conflict of unprecedented scale and brutality. World War I, sparked by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, shattered the illusion of a civilized Europe. Armies clashed in a bloody stalemate along the Western Front, mired in trenches and ravaged by machine guns, artillery, and poison gas. A war of many fronts. Many men died, but there was a moment of peace through sport. On Christmas Day, a football match broke out in the no-man's land zone. Millions perished in a conflict that seemed to have no end. The horrors of World War I, the war to end all wars, cast a long shadow. Yet, 2 decades later, the world watched in disbelief as Nazi Germany, driven by a twisted ideology of hate, unleashed another global conflict. World War II engulfed the globe in a maelstrom of violence, from the beaches of Normandy to the jungles of the Pacific. These 2 cataclysmic wars reshaped the political landscape of the world and left an indelible mark on the human psyche. The development and use of atomic bombs ushered in a new era of existential terror, forever altering the nature of warfare. Section 8. The Shadow of the Bomb, a new kind of terror. The detonation of atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945 marked a turning point in human history. The destructive power unleashed by these weapons was unlike anything the world had ever seen. Warfare, once a contest of armies and ideologies, now held the potential for unimaginable destruction on a global scale. The Cold War, a decades-long standoff, a race to space capitalism versus communism between the United States and the Soviet Union, was defined by this chilling reality. Both superpowers amassed vast nuclear arsenals, capable of annihilating each other many times over. The threat of mutually assured destruction, or MAD, became a terrifying deterrent, a grim reminder of the stakes involved in any future conflict. Proxy wars, fought in Korea, Vietnam, and elsewhere, became the new battlegrounds of the Cold War. Domino theory was in effect. These conflicts, often fueled by ideological differences and superpower rivalries, claimed millions of lives and left lasting scars on the world. The shadow of the bomb loomed large over the latter half of the 20th century. It forced humanity to confront the potential consequences of its own destructive capacity. The quest for peace, once a noble aspiration, now took on a new urgency, driven by the terrifying realization that the next war could be our last. Section 9, From Trenches to Drones, Technology's Grip on Modern War. The end of the Cold War did not usher in an era of lasting peace. Conflicts continue to erupt around the world, fueled by ethnic tensions, religious extremism, and competition for resources. But the nature of warfare itself continues to evolve at an unprecedented pace, driven by rapid technological advancements. The battlefields of the 21st century are increasingly defined by technology. Precision-guided munitions, unmanned aerial vehicles or drones, and cyber warfare have blurred the lines between conventional and unconventional warfare. Conflicts are often fought from a distance, with combatants relying on sophisticated technology to strike at their enemies. Cyber warfare, in particular, has emerged as a new frontier in conflict. Hackers, working for both state and non-state actors, can disrupt critical infrastructure, spread disinformation, and sow chaos in the digital realm. The battle for control of cyberspace has become as important as any fought on land, sea, or air. As technology continues to advance, the future of warfare remains uncertain. Artificial intelligence, autonomous weapons systems, and other emerging technologies raise profound ethical and strategic questions. The challenge for humanity is to harness these advancements for the betterment of mankind rather than allowing them to be used for destruction and death. Section 10, An Unfinished Fight, the Enduring Shadow of Conflict. From the primal struggles of our earliest ancestors to the high-tech battlefields of the 21st century, war has been a constant companion of humankind. It has shaped our history, our cultures, and our very identities. But the quest for peace, though often elusive, remains a fundamental human aspiration. War is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon. It is driven by a multitude of factors, from greed and ambition to fear and ideology. It can bring out the worst in humanity, unleashing unimaginable cruelty and destruction. Yet it can also inspire acts of extraordinary courage, selflessness, and compassion. As we look to the future, it is imperative that we learn from the lessons of the past. We must acknowledge the human cost of conflict and strive to build a world where dialogue, diplomacy, and cooperation replace the clash of arms. The drums of war may never be silenced entirely, but it is within our power to make them fade into the distance, replaced by the hopeful melody of peace. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you could hit like and subscribe button, click for notifications. If not able to, then for me that's very misfortunate.